Good afternoon. I have very simple questions to ask you. What is innovation? Can I have a volunteer? Can you tell me what is innovation?
It never happened
It's never happened. Why?
because no one do it.
No one do it. Okay. Who else? Who would like to answer my questions? Okay.
Doing things differently, given more efficiency or better result for the
Okay. When I start thinking about innovations, I think it was almost 25 years ago. I browsed to a very ancient computer. At that time, it's only green or orange colors, if you reckon. I tried to find very so-called solid definition. Some professors trace it back to Greece or even Latin times. It comes from Latin words inno and innovare, doing new things. It's not about new things, it's about doing something new. Some said that, right? When I started to teach about innovations almost 20 years ago, this is also a simple question that I'm still figuring out even today. 4 years ago, I started to be a director of national innovation agencies. At that time, innovations they're mainly thinking about innovation as a product, as a process. Mainly 2 people. It's a new product. It's a new process, right? And you can sell. Some university professors even say that some leading university, they have a very simplified formulas of innovation. Innovations formulas for them. It's invention plus commercialization. It looks simple, it looks fine because you can make money. But if you remember some specific words from our first 2 speakers, they're talking about some intangibility things that change the world. The power of intangible asset, the power of innovation you cannot touch it. A new idea, a new thinking, a new paradigms, a social values. In that sense, think about that formula that I mentioned to you. Innovation is invention plus commercialization. It should not be the whole definition for innovation, right? Then I start thinking that it should be something more than business. We should redefine the way we think about innovation or even business model. Can you touch upon business model? You cannot touch it, right? It's mainly about your idea and the way you implement it. Innovation is not high technology as well. So in that sense, when you're thinking about national innovation system, it's even more complex. So we redefine the ways that we would like to have innovation happen to these countries in 3 E. The first E is about equity. Thailand's inequality is very high. It's still high, right? That's why a lot of people are thinking about social enterprise. They would like to do some social innovation or even political innovation. So in that sense, you can define social innovation or political innovation similar with product innovation. You cannot. It's different animal. But we need it. Some people start thinking about the way they do innovation outside corporate, like users innovation. This is antithesis to open innovation. 2 years ago, the father of open innovation went to Thailand and talked about this. So I asked him, what about your friends just across the ocean? He think about users innovation. Something that's happened among non-corporate. We are talking about society. We are talking about change.org phenomena. We are talking about some specific group of people that would like to change the world, but without corporates. So in that sense, innovation can happen anywhere. That's why the first E is very important. The second E, entrepreneurship. But for us, entrepreneurship doesn't mean that you need to have your own business operation or companies. You can use or even use a metaphor on entrepreneurship to change the world. So innovation for us simplify as some specific things that you can change. It's a changing of the process. And the last E is about enterprise. We need to we need to keep to have more enterprise in Thailand. That's why we're talking about Startup Thailand. So I would like to have 5 specific things that we are working and we think this is going to change the way of national innovation system in Thailand going to be for the next decade. Okay. We put a lot of our effort to work with young children, younger generation. I think you are familiar with STEAM, right? Science, technologies, engineering and mathematics, right? STEM, it's very boring, for sure. Okay. You went to school and after that you go to tutor school. You learn about math, you learn about engineering. You have a chance to do some specific dry lab. Dry lab means you just take a look on the pictures on the book, or even you take a look on the YouTube. You cannot have a chance to do it yourself. It's not enough. STEAM is too functional based, I would say. That's why we include this pink one. Arts. STEAM for innovators. This is the program that we would like to change our young mind. A stands for arts, science, technologies, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Arts can change something and can create a new values. So we start working with a school. We ask a parent association to allow the students at the high school to work with us with this model, the 4 stage of STEAM for innovator. We work with vocational college all around the countries and also some specific universities. For the past 3 years, we have around 60,000 students. They already start their own new business ventures, companies, for 40 companies. So if you would like to change, then you need to act. That's why I always say that innovation is a process of change. The first innovation that we would like to change in the system is to nurture and to develop a young mind that's they're well equipped with STEM plus art. And they would like to be innovator, change maker. So this is very important. The key challenges lies on the first 2 specific stages. It's always not only for students but also for entrepreneurs that's come to us. Every year we have around 2,000 companies apply for our grant system. 2,000 companies. So it ends up that around, I think, less than 20% receive our funding. Why? Because they lack of imagination. They think quite similar to their own competitors. They have similar worldview. They would like to do the same thing. Like 2 years ago, fintechs very big things. So they start thinking about new projects. They would like to do fintech. Within their own proposal, they have 3 specific words: big data, AI, and what else? IoT. Yes. And when we keep asking them what really means into your project, they cannot say. If you remember 2 months or 1 month ago, they have these figures. Around 40% of startups in US that claim that they are doing AI. They haven't got activities or even any specific technology regarding to AI, right? So this is very important, imagination and also ideation. That's why we would like to groom and nurture our students and our younger mind to have capability to imagine and also about the new idea. So this is the first innovation that we think this is very important and the first one. Later, when you think about Asianization, right? They have a book by very young Indian Americans. He wrote about the future is in Asia. This book's quite easy to read. But yesterday I got another lecture across the road, different programs at Chulalongkorn universities. I draw the timeline, and I draw the timeline. Kun Prin just mentioned about 20-year plans, right? 2 years ago, Xi Jinping, he put overall into the constitutions of China. No more talking about 20 years. It's almost permanent in China, but what is overall? You know overall? One Belt, One Road. One Belt, One Road project start in 2013. Xi Jinping pronounced that the new big things after new normal policies of China is overall. In 20, Asian Infrastructure Development Bank started. 2 years later, he put it into the constitution. What does it mean? This is a new business model, a new development model for China. And it's defined the way innovation in China is going to do. Mainly it's on transportation, logistics, and digital technology regarding to this. And it will cover from China to Africa. So in that sense, Asianization is something more than the giant so-called China, but the ways innovations and also power will be shifted into this area. This will be the first time in the human civilization that the technologies and also economic power will totally, I would say, it would totally shift from the Western country into Asia, into the Middle Kingdom. I'm not sure if it's Lannister or not. That's why US-China trade war just began this year. So the first Asianization. So we need to think about the way we innovate in an Asian way, in our own cultural DNA. So this is the way we need to think very hard and be careful about the next so-called World War III. It will be technology war. The third one, startup and entrepreneurship. We start working on building up startup for the past 3 years from scratch. We have very few ecosystem builder. Why we need to jump into this so-called mega trends for the past 3 years, and it's quite lucky. We are not out of the trend yet. Now Startup Thailand becomes a brand, international brand. Startup ecosystem in Thailand now, a lot of people, a lot of countries think that this is one of the very vibrant ecosystem in Asia, not only Bangkok but also in Chiang Mai. I just returned from Hungary. Hungary used to be Eastern Bloc countries. The country is the leaders in the V4 or Visegrad groups in Eastern European countries, including Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, and also Slovakia. I went to universities of technology, Budapest. They adopt the idea similar to the university in Finland to transform their own students into entrepreneurs, but mainly from engineering school. So this is the way startup companies in Thailand, like of tech-based companies, they mainly build up from their own business model. So we are talking about how we translate the technological advancement into a so-called investable business proposal. So Startup Thailand, I think at this moment, we already finished the first phase, the awareness phase. The differences between startup and SME. Can you give me a good definition? What is SME and what is startup? In the past, it's very difficult. They even use the term startup SME or SME startup. And a lot of SME, they call themselves startup because they just start business. So the first 3 years, we put a lot of energies on how we can redefine the way people think about startup and SME. So this is the third one. The fourth one, innovation will be here in the city. It won't be in the laboratories or in the industrial estates anymore. It will be here. There is a studies from university professors in state, I think from MIT. He put a plot on digital map, comparing between the location that innovation activities happen between city center or CBDs and between suburban or urban area like science park outskirts of the cities. The majority of innovation will happen in two specific places. Traditional innovation will be started in the laboratories and end up in the production line. And the value creation is very, very marginalized. The second one, innovation, he called it unconventional innovation. Unconventional innovation start here in the heart of the big cities. Start from the users of the first innovation or traditional innovation, and they transcended into people all around their own communities. A lot of patterns starting from the way people live in the cities, and innovation is the answer for them. So in terms of space-based innovation, we are talking about two types of innovation that's going to be happen side by side. Traditional innovation from big corporate. The corporate that's nurture R&D and then put it into innovation. And the second one, among yourself and also your colleagues, innovation that's happened in the cities. And the last one, it should be yellow. Why so green? Fragile securities, and 1 minute left. So I would like to conclude my talks about the innovation regarding to security. Even in Thailand, the 11 S-curve, we define it as defense technologies. So the government started to think about how we redefine security, national securities, not only on traditional securities. So we will see a lot of Asian countries or even in Thailand start to develop our own defense technology innovation. So this is another thing that we need to emphasize on, that innovation, sometimes you need to have open innovation. The first 4 innovation is purely open, but defense tech is not. It's very exclusive, it's very closed. So in that sense, closed innovation and open innovation still live side by side in the near future. And I think that's the fifth, or 5, so-called or 5 trends on innovation will change Thailand into the next stage in a good or bad way. But we need to have your own effort to help each other, because we cannot do innovation alone. Thank you very much.